Hello and welcome to
Wednesday.
Newsday, your number one resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. So I know I said new intro this week, but psych. We're all just gonna have to wait a whole week to see what the new Tuesday intro is going to look like. Like I've said before, I'm in the middle of a move right now, so this video may be late. I don't know yet at the time of recording, but if it is, kick me, I guess. Either way, let's get right into the news, because not one but two headsets have some new information on them, and they may just change up a little of the current hardware landscape and what it looks like. But first, let's touch on some other pressing news. Valve held an AMA on Reddit regarding Half-Life Alyx. If you haven't already read through what exactly went down on there, I'll just recap the most important things that were said in like 30 seconds so you don't have to spend forever reading the whole thing. First off, this is the largest team to ever work on a single project at Valve. Around 80 individuals are on the Half-Life Alyx team, which is pretty crazy by Valve standards. Also, the game should be about the same length story-wise as Half-Life 2. From what I understand in the quote, no dual wielding will be in the game, so no Boneworks-esque double MP5Ks, as Valve always wants you to have a free hand for other utilities. There will be pretty much no jumping, teleport, and mantle up things only. This was a funny one. Quote, you could put a bucket on a head crab and it'll move the bucket as it crawls around. Playtesters all keep reporting it as a bug, end quote. Wait just 1 second. Jesus, who are your playtesters, Valve? Every decision you have made, from no jumping to no arms to no dual wielding, have had the caveat of, due to experience with playtesters, we've made this decision. These playtesters obviously don't even understand basic physics interactions within video games. If you cover a head crab with a bucket and the head crab moves, so will the bucket because it's on the head crab. Maybe you should rethink who you have testing your game before telling everyone no one wants jumping in your game. It sounds like I'm coming off hypercritical, but I'm not. It's more just a joke. I really do think that Half-Life Alyx is going to be superb, and I'm looking forward to it as I've always been a huge Half-Life fan. I don't want it to be a Boneworks physics clone. That's why we have Boneworks, and I really do like the systems in that game. It just feels like a bit of a regression to lose control over my character in other games. By the way, this game is nearly complete according to Valve, like it's done. They're just putting some polish on the final levels, so we should be receiving it on time. I know myself and others were concerned about a delay, Valve time, but as of now it should be coming out in the slated March time slot. That also means that the Index Kit and Knuckles should be coming back in stock in time as well. As Valve said before, that we should be receiving more stock before Alyx launches. One more thing on the AMA, the team is not shipping a full SDK alongside Alyx. Source 2 may be coming in the future to all of us, but at the moment Valve is focusing on the game itself. So before we get into the two new headsets, some gigantic things were promised by Amazon in the streaming and 5G realm, and very much so could have an effect on the future of standalone headsets, for example. I personally am a big fan of the idea of cloud computed or, streamed VR games. I think it would be amazing if all you had to do was buy a cheap headset with cheap hardware and be able to use a 5G or internet connection to have all of the hard processing work done remotely. I mean, I'm sure you have heard other people say, man, I want to get into PC VR, but I don't have a good enough PC. Of course, stream content has tons of positives and negatives that we can hit on in another video, but really I think that cloud computing will have a large part to do with not only making headsets cheaper and more comfortable because they don't have to have hardware built into them, but making mass adoption just a little bit more viable. Only problem right now is that game streaming kinda sucks. Just look at Google Stadia, the forefront of streaming with the giant Google behind it. Frame rates aren't consistent, resolutions aren't what were promised, graphical fidelity is and the biggest problem is latency, which is not okay in VR. You could get away with a little bit of input lag with a controller, but not while you're moving your body. It's almost actually a health hazard in VR due to how nausea-inducing input lag or latency can be. Well, Amazon has announced a new edge computing service that promises single-digit millisecond latencies over 5G. That would mean that the days of input lag could be gone, and streamed VR content could be possible. To give you an idea, current streaming content can see latency in the hundreds of milliseconds. Using edge computing, those numbers could drop, like I said, into single digits, which is insane and kind of impossible for me to wrap my brain around, considering how much data is being transferred. Maybe this is the perfect time for Amazon to swoop in, hot off the heels of Google Stadia, with something better. But I do have a strong feeling this is more meant for enterprise applications at the moment, and for people that need to render incredibly expensive things within a VR headset. The Vario CEO seems to share my excitement and optimism for the platform, believing that cloud rendering is a crucial step to making VR scale easily to mass audiences. Quote, now instead of having to develop expensive local computing devices that would be impossible to run on a battery-operated device, we can use edge computing to scale our rendering power and business of our industrial-grade headset from thousands to hundreds of thousands of units. All in all, it looks to be some pretty amazing stuff, and I can't wait to see what we can all do with it. On Twitter, a sleek new headset was teased by Stan Lorok, head of the team developing what is called the Lynx R1. So this is a brand new startup company, and their first product seems to be an AR/VR headset. That's right, the slash means that this headset should be able to do both augmented and virtual reality. Through some comments, it appears that the headset accomplishes this through cameras placed somewhere on the HMD. Here's the thing though, this is a completely standalone headset, meaning you should not need a PC to run it. Pretty much the picture you see in the AR/VR as well as being standalone are the only details that we know at the moment. But on this coming Monday, the Lynx R1 will be fully revealed, and I'm extremely interested to see if this is just another enterprise headset, which it probably is to be fair, or if it has some sort of consumer application. Looks like on the next Tuesday Newsday, we will have all the information. But that brings us to the second headset that may have a future in the consumer's hands. So I'm a big fan of the Samsung Odyssey Plus. If someone asks me if all I can afford is a WMR headset, what should I be looking for? And I always recommend the Odyssey Plus. Just for the price, it does the best in my opinion. Well, Samsung may be at it again, as patents were filed with the China Intellectual Property Administration recently showing off some pretty wild headset designs. From the pictures given in the patents, it's unclear if this is a standard WMR headset with the two cameras somewhere on the device, or another method of tracking like Steam VR tracking is used. Of course, we see a tether, which means that this is a PC VR headset, integrated audio, and a dial that appears to be an IPD selector. This wasn't the only headset to be shown in patents though. This crazy bug-like headset was also shown in the patent filings with a similar overall design, but a crazier faceplate. Two major differences here that I see is that I don't specifically see a tether, so I guess this could be a standalone version, unless the tether was just not included, but we do see 4 cameras or sensors. So I commonly go over patent filings here, as most of the time if I'm covering it, it's interesting to me. But I always have to clarify that, of course, this may not actually come to be anything. On one hand, this could be Samsung's new big thing releasing later this year, or it could be Samsung securing patents to a design that will never go through. Only time will tell, but I'm absolutely a fan of more companies staying in the VR hardware race. I like having options and I like competition. And seeing WMR pretty much fall to the wayside does kinda suck, but if in the future we start seeing Gen 2 WMR, or better yet, a superior platform to WMR come out, it's only gonna be good things for the VR hardware race as a whole. But now it's time for a meme break! Well, guys, it's sad, but my replacement right index controller has started to drift in terms of the thumbstick. So whenever I saw this picture, it definitely, hit home. Me, oh nice, my index controller is here. I hope this one doesn't get a messed up thumbstick. The thumbstick 3 months later, or in my case 2 weeks, it's drifting like a mofo. And now, back to the news. Atari is opening game-themed hotels across the US with AR and VR integrated right in there. Hotels are planned in Las Vegas, Denver, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, and San Jose, with the first one breaking ground in Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, a giant arcade of a hotel sounds pretty darn fun, but more interesting is the idea of having VR arcades or VR events integrated right alongside all the other attractions, including arenas for esports events. So, VR esports, anybody? Eh? Really, it's just a cool thing and sounds really exciting, and I'd love to check them out once they're finished, but the idea does give me a slight feeling of the Nickelodeon hotels. Really, themed hotels outside of amusement parks kind of sort of feel like a thing of the past, but so is Atari, so maybe it'll work out and end up being a really cool venue for gaming and esports and VR to all meld together. Pimax has responded to claims from the COO that the US-based customer support will be moving to China to save costs. Well, Pimax had to say that this was a little misinformation, and the US does in fact have its own customer support section of 2 people in San Jose, and the other regions similarly have their own customer support. So according to Pimax, everything is all good, and customer support has not moved to China. This is following a blow-up on Twitter with Sweeviver and Upload VR covering the topic to begin with, and I said I would keep everyone updated, so here it is. If it was a major worry to you, then I guess don't let it be, because nothing has really changed. So I've talked about Vario multiple times here, and their incredible VR2 headset that, unfortunately costs $5,000. I mean, you get some pretty sweet tech for that price tag, but it's nothing to scoff at. $5,000 $1,000 is $5,000, you know? Well, the company has been growing considerably well and is making waves in the industry. Vario now has 150 employees, $45 million in funding, and is now looking to make more affordable headsets. From multiple quotes and interviews I've seen with the CEO, it seems that the company is really focusing on pushing VR to the mainstream, not consumers, but businesses. Right now, they work with multiple car manufacturers and other engineer firms, but are attempting to inject VR into the middle-sized businesses that can only benefit from what VR can offer. Right now, the displays on the VR2 are really what set it apart, using what's called a bionic display, with primary screens working in conjunction with micro displays to provide one of the clearest images available across any headset. Obviously, this is tech that I would want in my own personal headset, but you know, there's a reason why the VR2 costs $5,000. I'm still happy to see a company so focused on pushing VR to segments other than just us consumers, and it's doing it rather aggressively. Vario has only been around since 2016 and has grown considerably in that time, so really things are looking positive at the moment. And now on to question of the week from Griffin Campbell. What is my favorite microwavable food and why? Frozen burritos. I could eat frozen burritos any day, all day. Thing is, most other microwave food tries to duplicate the taste or texture of something and does it really badly, and then it's not great. Like, think of buffalo chicken. It gets soggy and it's just not a great experience. Microwave burritos, trying to mimic an authentic burrito, just does it so poorly that really the taste and flavor of a heated up burrito just becomes its own food. It's like kind of like a Mexican food hot pocket. It's not even a burrito at that point. Throw some sour cream and hot sauce on the puppy and I go to town. I could just eat it all day. Make sure to leave your question of the week below. I may just answer yours next. I will be streaming on Twitch today, so come on and have some fun. Join up in the Discord for more information and notifications on the stream schedule. I want to give a gigantic thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas like Ninjo, Exit, Very Evil Shadow, and Walter. I couldn't be doing any of this without you. Alright, don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.